The house stood where no house should. Not on any map, not along any street. It rested in the fold between memory and dream, at the edge of where a person forgets and something greater remembers. Ella came upon it as though by accident, though in truth, the house had been calling her for years. It was not grand, but it was warm. A wraparound porch held chairs that gently rocked themselves. The windows glowed faintly, though no lamps were lit. The garden bloomed with familiar scents. Rain-soaked lilacs, old book pages, cinnamon from a forgotten winter. She stepped onto the porch. The front door opened before she could knock. Inside, silence. Not emptiness, but presence. The kind of quiet where breath softens, and the heart listens. The floor creaked in all the right places, exactly as she remembered. She stood in the entryway, and the air shifted. A voice, not spoken but felt, greeted her. Welcome back. To her left was the living room, unchanged from some childhood variation. Couch cushions just slightly sunken in the shape of old laughter, a blanket folded with grandmotherly precision, a mug resting on a side table filled with steam from a memory. On the wall, a gallery of frames. Each one held not a photo, but a moment. Not an image, but a pulse. She stepped closer. One frame pulsed with her first heartbreak, another with the sound of her brother's voice calling her name after a long absence. Another held the quiet night she chose not to speak, and the world stayed kind. She wandered into the kitchen. The clock on the stove blinked 3:17, her birth time. On the counter, a lunchbox from grade school. She opened it. Inside, a note from her mother in fading ink. You are brave. You are kind. You are more than you know. Ella placed the note over her heart. The fridge hummed a lullaby from her childhood home. She moved down the hallway, where the doors had no labels, but each called to her by the part of herself they had kept safe. One door opened to the room of forgotten joys. There, she found a swing she once flew from before she was afraid of falling, a record player spinning a song she danced to when no one was watching, the scent of cookies baked on a Thursday just because. Another door led to the chamber of words she never knew had stayed. Every sentence spoken to her in love, even the quiet ones. You mattered to me. You changed how I see the world. I never told you, but you made it easier to be me. Each phrase floated, soft as candlelight. She let them wash over her. Then came the stairs. At the top, a single room. The room of mirrors that never lied. Inside, dozens of mirrors, each from a different era of her life. In one, she was 5 and full of wild questions. In another, she was 17 and trying not to cry after hearing goodbye. In another, she stood just as she was now, but softer, clearer, whole. Each reflection nodded at her. None judged. All witnessed. She stood before the largest mirror. It didn't show her. It showed the space she'd left in people's lives, like a fingerprint pressed into time. A friend who still used her phrase. A stranger who remembered her smile. A cousin who carried her advice. She stepped back. A small door appeared behind the mirror. She opened it and stepped into the attic. There, the house remembered her future. Drawings she hadn't yet sketched. Journals she hadn't written. Shoes worn down by paths she hadn't walked. On a table sat a cup of tea, still warm. And beside it, a letter. Written in her own handwriting. It read, If you've made it here, then you've never truly been forgotten. Every step you've taken lives within these walls. Every goodbye you feared was a pause, not an absence. You are remembered, not as a trace, but as a light. She folded the letter and placed it in her pocket. Descending the stairs, The house hummed. Not a song, but a rhythm. Her rhythm. At the door, she turned back. Every room whispered at once. You are still here. We are still you. She stepped outside. The air was bright with early dusk. She closed the door gently. It locked not with a click, but with a heartbeat. She whispered, "Thank you for remembering me even when I tried to forget myself."